Welcome back, everyone. We are here finally in my new studio. We finally got it done, and very excited to be in this environment. Anything that I say is not meant to diagnose or replace your medical care. Check with your doc before implementing any of these suggestions. And Steve, I think you can hear me, can't you?
I sure can. I tell you, boy, I am jelly. Look at that studio audience. And by the way, since he built it, he said, Steve, you're no longer welcome here. This studio is far too bougie for you. So you're just going to have to look at it like the rest of the world from
That's
afar.
really what I was after, bougie. But you can see different viewpoints right here. Look at this. Watch this one right here, Steve. You can look down.
Unbelievable.
I can write out different things on this table, which is crazy. Crazy good. So now we can, I can have my whiteboard and everything at the
That's
same time.
unbelievable. And audience, I don't have any control over switching his studio. So I wish I could because we could see if he was making any obscene gestures with his hands or whatever. But that's all up to him. So he's going to be able to do that. Anyway, enough about that, but what a beautiful studio. Thanks for investing all that for the betterment of the show. And why don't we kick things off as we usually do with social media? And let's start with our old friend YouTube. Mel from YouTube, is cayenne pepper better than baby aspirin at thinning the blood? If so, how much should we consume daily?
Everyone is told that, oh yeah, baby aspirin is everyone needs to do it because it's normal. And recently, there's some data that says that not everyone should do it, and it comes with the package. So my whole viewpoint is that if you do your research and you find that there are problems with aspirin, then and you're looking for alternatives, you might want to try other things that could potentially help you. Um, Cayenne pepper, different peppers, different um, remedies, different phytonutrients in certain plant compounds. Willow bark. You also have stinging nettle root. There's so many different things you can take. So I would just research several of them to see if any of them can actually come close to creating the effect that you want to do without the side effects.
All right, very good. And here's Lynn from YouTube. I recently watched your video about how seed oils can impact heart health. As someone in their 60s who's consumed those oils all their life, what steps can we take to reverse the damage from those seed oils? Is she in trouble?
Just realize that there's a shelf life, not a shelf life, a half life, which is about 2 to 2.5 years. So what I would recommend is start to change over to the omega-3 fatty acids and not to the seed oils. And then over time, could take a couple of years, I think you could be in good shape because I think the body will just replenish these seed oils with the better oils. So that's what I would recommend. There's so many other variables. I don't know what's going to happen to you or what your current condition is, but I would definitely switch over now so we can get the wrong, the oxidized oils out of your diet and out of your tissue.
All right, very good. Well, one of our show associates came over and slapped me on the back of the head and said, the audience says you're too loud. So on behalf of the audience, I'm going to bring that level down. And if I don't get another smack, I assume that I probably got it just about right. All right, let's move on. Syed from Facebook, what is your best way to treat acne? Horrible problem.
We're dealing with this little gland. It's an oil gland called the sebaceous gland. And there's certain things that make the gland produce too much oil. And then all of a sudden it can get infected, it gets red. And so people tend to scrub it and they use all sorts of lotions and potions and things like that. But when do we normally get acne problems? Through puberty. What happens during puberty? We have a spike in androgens. So there's an androgen connection to this. Androgens increase the sebaceous gland, the oil gland. So there's several things that you can help regulate that gland. Number one is having enough vitamin A. Number two is taking enough omega-3 fatty acids. Number three, taking enough vitamin D. And take a wild guess what food would supply all three of those elements. If you guessed cod liver oil, you were correct. So also zinc is helpful. And one last really important point, and that is we've already, well, actually 2 points. One is we already talked about the seed oils. Seed oils can actually really alter your oil glands as well. So you probably have to get those out of your diet, but also just sugar and reducing insulin. Insulin tends to indirectly increase androgens. In fact, if you look at a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, with women, they they many times get acne and they have high androgens, and that's coming from the insulin aspect. So if you get on the low carb diet, which a lot of kids never get on, or teenagers, boy, you just might find a huge change. Make sure you take some zinc, take your wonderful cod liver oil. It's delicious, and watch your acne go away.
Oh, that's good. That's encouraging. Okay, with the help of our audience and our seasoned producer, Terry, says that you were too low in volume and I was too high. And he said, he reminded me that I'm nothing, that I don't need a high level.
Now, do I need to talk closer? Or is this
No,
fine, or
actually,
what?
I raised it, but yes, that would be helpful too. But I upped your level, and I think the audience is satisfied now that we've got you all set up. So that's terrific. Let's move on. Oh, yeah, getting complaints that the volume's too low. Fixed it. Master Cat from Rumble. Glad to hear from Rumble. Steve, you are the best. You deserve a raise. Go on. Dr. Berg, please explain why vitamin C raises our blood pressure. California loves you, Dr. Berg. Should we go back to the part about me, or should we go on to the question?
I think you're dubbing in this whole thing, Steve.
I'm not lying.
Right
Now, this wouldn't be beyond me. It wouldn't be beyond me to lie about this sort of thing. But that cat, thank you, Master Cat, so much. And we'll get back to you and talk about this ad nauseum after he.
No, vitamin C raising blood pressure. To my knowledge, I don't know anything about that. I've never heard that before. I would say potentially, if you're taking a synthetic version, which is made out of cornstarch and sulfuric acid, that you go to a natural version. That might solve your problem. And from foods, concentrated foods, that might be a better option.
All right. Let's see. Next up, Arba. True from Rumble. Boy, Rumble's really rolling in, isn't it? That's so great. My wife is in her first trimester, congratulations, and has stomach aches, nausea, and issues with all meats and fish. She can only consume rice right now. I got her some beef liver capsules. What else should we be giving her? Got to take care of that baby.
The most important thing is the diet. I would be careful about doing the rice. I would go back to what I recommend is the basic keto plan, and find out, maybe instead of doing heavy fatty foods, you do like maybe less fattier foods, but you definitely need animal source nutrients for the best bioavailable source of amino acids and nutrition, because this is the time where that baby is being fortified and developing, and so you don't want to have any deficiencies. It just blows my mind that they don't emphasize the diet as much, and then they say, well, just take a prescription prenatal, which is all synthetics. Why would we want to go low quality for your baby? I mean, it's not the same as natural. It's made industrially. So get a food-based prenatal. I would also, sounds to me like the gallbladder and the digestion is overloaded. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. I'd have to get more data to evaluate, but I think there is a way to do it. And unfortunately, there's not enough emphasis of getting rid of the refined carbs, or even the high starchy carbs when you're pregnant, because that can definitely throw you off.
Okay, very good. Let's go to Shiraz from YouTube. What's the best way to dissolve gallbladder stones and relieve acid reflux? Are those combined issues?
In order for the gallbladder to prevent stones, you have to have the right ratio of bile salts to cholesterol. If the cholesterol is too concentrated without the bile salts, the stones can develop. So if you have a stone, one of the remedies that's being put out there, even in the medical profession, is a certain type of bile salt to take. So if you start taking bile salts, now we have a chance to get the mixture, the ratios right, and potentially that could actually reduce the severity of these stones. The other thing to think about is if you have a lack of bile, you might develop kind of a sludge. It's not an actual stone, but it's a precursor to the stone, in which case the flow of that bile mixture is not going through the pipes too well. So another thing to take to keep those ducts open and free flowing is TUDCA, which is a type of bile salt as well. But I would take that on an empty stomach. The other thing is that the acid reflux is probably a lack of acid, and you need this acid to stimulate the liver to reduce or produce bile. So I would, in addition to the taking a bile salt right before you or right after you eat, is I would recommend taking betaine hydrochloride. That's acidifier, so it'll help to strengthen the acid in the stomach, so you can digest better, and so you have the right release of the bile. I have done many videos on this topic. You can get more details by going on YouTube and typing Dr. Berg and that subject.
All right, very good. Here's officially the first quiz question in your new studio. There you go.
So, Steve, I don't have it set up where I can see the question in front of me.
All right.
I have to look down here.
No,
So
that's
if you
all right.
wanna
Let
just
me
ask the question, that would be great.
I'd be glad to. On behalf of Dr. Berg, this is a true falser. If someone has normal blood glucose, you can rest assured that diabetes is not an issue. Is that right or is that wrong, audience? Okay, let's find out who's listening to us and how much they love the new studio. Good morning to all of our viewers joining us today from the UK, Canada, Mexico, the Netherlands, Pakistan, Guyana, Australia, Kenya, Croatia, Scotland, Jordan, Austria, Turkey, Malaysia, Chile, Indy, Terry, I probably said that wrong, Sweden, France, Ethiopia, Belgium, Tanzania, Russia, Germany, Finland, Taiwan, the Virgin Islands, Tunisia, Japan, South Africa, Qatar, Iran, New Zealand, America, Samoa, Panama, Greece, Italy, the Czech Republic, Albania, the Navajo Nation. That's wonderful to hear from the Navajo Nation, who is very interested in health like the rest of us, and all across the rest of these United States of America. So thanks, everybody, on behalf of Dr. Berg for tuning into that. And let's see. Let's go to... Master Cat from Rumble. Steve, I messed up. I meant to ask why vitamin C might raise my blood sugar. There you go, not blood pressure.
Blood sugar. Vitamin C, the chemistry for vitamin C is very close to glucose. This is a very interesting topic because I haven't really looked too much into that, but the chemistry is very similar. So if you're doing vitamin C and at the same time you're doing sugar, the body's going to not absorb the vitamin C. It's going to have the focus on that sugar, which that's going to create a vitamin C deficiency. I think I would look to the source of vitamin C that you're taking. And if you still have a problem, here's what you do. You get your vitamin C from raw sauerkraut, which is very, very nice and sweet. Just kidding. It has like 700 milligrams of vitamin C per cup. So that way, you can be rest assured that it's probably not going to increase your blood sugars.
All right, very good. Glad we got that squared away for you. Donna from YouTube, I have gut inflammation issues and I'm prone to diverticulitis. There's not many foods that I can eat without consequences. I eat twice a day, but end up bloated and uncomfortable afterwards. Help.
I just did a video today. I didn't release it yet. It's going to be about a week or so. I did carnivore for 2 weeks, and you can hear the results of that. But if you have gut issues like you're saying, you need to do carnivore. I mean, that's what you need to do because the nuts, the vegetables, some of the fiber, the seeds, the grains, all that stuff. And I'm not saying you're eating that, but those are the things that are going to keep you bloated. But typically the meats, the fish, the eggs are not going to bloat you. So that's what I would recommend to help yourself. So there's so many different theories on that topic. People will say, oh yeah, you do the FODMAPs type vegetables where you're doing all these, you're doing more fiber. And then, or people saying, doing this, consume these healthy, clean, plant-based foods, more fiber. So honestly, anything with fiber doesn't do well with inflammation in your gut, period. So I would get rid of that. And what's fascinating is one of the most healing foods on the planet is red meat. Because why? Because that's the exact food that everyone's telling you not to eat. And we know in the area of healthcare, it's opposite day. So if you just go the opposite direction, but that's not the reason. But the point is that you have glutamine, you have all sorts of great things that help your digestion. And I don't know very many people, if anyone, that has an allergy to red meat, but it's good for the gut. And I'm talking about high quality. I'm not talking about the red meat that you're going to get when you go to McDonald's.
All right, very good. Marlene, by the way, checked in from Jamaica. She wanted to say, hey, we're out here too, and she wasn't on the list. So thank you, Marlene, for bringing that up. And thank you, Marlene, for answering the first quiz question, if you did. And it asked, if someone has normal blood glucose, you can rest assured that diabetes is not an issue. And 88% of our respondents say it's false. 12% say it's absolutely a fact.
Here's the thing. It takes decades for diabetes to show up on a blood test. Decades. So what happens is you eat all this sugar, and how the heck could your blood sugar be normal? Well, it's because insulin is being jacked up in the background, never tested. The doctors don't test insulin, and it's pushing the sugar out of the blood at a mad rate to keep your blood glucose normal. And so just because your blood sugar is normal does not give us the whole picture. It's kind of like if we just cut your heating light in your car, we can't really tell if your car is overheated. And you're just going by how hot it is in your car. You can't always tell. So the point is that you should do other tests to evaluate, to determine if you are pre-diabetic or diabetic, or even a pre-diabetic where you have insulin resistance. And there's a great test for that called HOMA-IR. And that way you can truly see where you are. But there's going to be some other cool things that are coming down the pike. Like you can do the metabolomic testing and also predict not just diabetes, but many other problems well before you even notice that they exist. Because the metabolomic testing gives you a visual of your biochemistry. You're able to see what's happening with even like the entire mitochondria. So you can kind of get a visual of, oh wow, there's a problem there. It's brewing in the oven. And so that you can fix it before it becomes a bigger problem.
Wonderful. That's encouraging. Okay, before we go to our green room, our first guest, and that's going to be Jeremy from Atlanta. So brace yourself, Jeremy. Let's get out the second question of the day. And this is not true false. It's a question. How can one have normal blood calcium levels and have severe osteoporosis? Interesting question, and I know the audience has an answer forthcoming. Okay, so let's go to Jeremy. I'm going to unmute him. I'm going to find his little icon. And Jeremy, one question in 30 seconds. You may be the winner.
Hi, doctor. Thanks for your help with keto and intermittent fasting. I've seen improvements in my health. I'm still facing challenges with ulcerative colitis, loose stools, and disrupted sleep for over a decade. I can't do the carnivore diet because of beliefs. Okay, I'm a pescatarian. I eat high-quality eggs, avocado, aged cheddar cheese, wild salmon, sardines, tuna fish, amata salad, almond butter, sea salt, and your electrolytes and nutritional yeast. I've recently taken your suggestion against the vegetables for gut inflammation, adding kraut and pickles. What adjustments can I make to heal my gut, achieve normal stools, and enjoy a good night's sleep? Thank you.
Sure. When you made those adjustments by lessening the fiber, did you get any improvement?
I can't tell. It's like a crazy puzzle. I eat one thing and nothing, and then I eat something else or the same diet, and then, I'm running to the bathroom right after the meal.
I think it'd be very, very wise to keep a food log
Okay.
and cut down the number of things you eat just to figure this out, because it sounds to me like there's something creating this laxative effect, and could be a food allergy. You don't even know. It could be some type of sensitivity. So, and that's the problem with all these variables. There's too many of them to figure it out. So if like maybe one day you have like 3 things and you're just eating 3 things, next day switch it to 3 other things, and then you're going to be able to isolate what the heck this is. So are you sure you have an ulcer in your colon?
Well, I hope it's healed by now, but yeah, I'm still having too many stools a day, sense of urgency. And
But
yeah.
did you get a scope to identify that?
Oh gosh, I'm a complex medical case. Yes, I was diagnosed in 2008, had several near-death experiences from 2012 to 2018. Finally, quit gluten, most dairy and sugar in 2018, and began to heal. Got back into my profession. I'm a kindergarten teacher.
Okay. So have you ever been tested? It sounds like you might have leaky gut. Have you ever been tested for that?
No.
It's just that it raises the, it actually will, it's a really good test to determine how severe that inflammation is. And if it just, because then we're dealing with immune issues and things like that. But I think there's a couple healing foods related to this. We're dealing with, cabbage juice, which actually helps to heal the gut and ulcers in different places in the body. Zinc carnosine is another really important remedy. Even the wheatgrass juice powder has certain properties that I've used in the past for people that have internal oxidation or inflammation in the inner skin in their body. But I think more than that, you're going to have to kind of reduce the number of foods right now to really kind of figure out this puzzle, because there's no way you're going to figure it out with just by adding more things into this. I think we have to kind of reduce things and just isolate what is that thing or several things that's irritating your colon, because especially if you're having maybe good days and bad days. So you have to be just more specific on the documentation, and this is always the challenge with even in research. How do you isolate these factors? There's so many different potential reasons for this. But I do know in general though, when you have inflammation, I'm glad you got rid of the grains, not to mention gluten too. But even some of these, if you're doing whole foods, and that's great, but some of these other foods, sometimes even processed foods, have hidden ingredients that are not even on the label, like maltodextrin, that can create serious GI problems. I'm recently doing a deep dive into maltodextrin, which is a starch. It's not even classified as a sugar. In fact, they put it in a lot of health foods, and it has some serious issues on the gut. So again, like what I'm saying is, go with whole foods, limit the number, and then just by elimination, see if you can isolate what's creating this problem. And let's say you do all that and you still doesn't work. Then you should probably watch my video on metabolomics and get that test. It's a very in-depth test to be able to kind of look deep inside your body and see what is going on and what's happening at the biochemical level.
Okay, thank you very much, doctor.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks so much, Jeremy, for being such a great, concise guest. And we have answers to quiz question number 2. This was not a true-falser. How can one have normal blood calcium levels and have severe osteoporosis? 55% say the calcium is primarily contained in the blood and cells. 15% say it's because vitamin D deficiency. Excuse me, let me mute this mic. There we go. Let's see. Primarily contained. Let me start over. 55% say it's because calcium is primarily contained in the blood and cells. 15% say because it's vitamin D deficiency. 10% say it's because of a magnesium deficiency. 10% say it's because of a K2 deficiency. And the final 10% say it's because of high insulin levels. Boy, they did a lot of research.
That chat GPT comes in handy, doesn't it? No. Here's the thing that you have to realize about the blood. The blood is not always the best place to identify problems, especially when blood sugar and other things as well, potassium, magnesium, because most of those minerals are deep in the cell, intracellular. And by the time it shows up in the blood, you have a pretty severe problem. Now, with calcium, the body is going to do whatever it can to maintain normal blood calcium despite robbing this calcium from your bone. Why? Because calcium is not just about bone formation. It's about cellular signaling and so many other things that are very, very important that go way beyond just bone health. It's the key signaling molecule between cells. It's an important mineral in contraction of your muscles as well, and the and a lot of other stuff related to the DNA, which I'm not going to get into. But so you can't always go by your blood when you're testing a lot of things. So the parathyroid hormone is a very good thing to test to kind of look at your calcium, what's happening inside, as well as a DEXA scan for your bones and osteoporosis versus other types of tests.
Okay.
And then, Steve, I forgot to mention the wood in the back of my studio. That came from a tree that went into our pond. It was a cherry tree, and we turned it into the paneling. So we're looking at some seriously nice cherry wood in back of me. So
how about that table?
Of course, I'm just bragging about that.
Same wood?
Yes. No, this is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's mahogany.
Good grief.
Or maple.
Show that.
I have to find out.
Yeah.
I should know this.
Anyway,
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
So yeah, so beautiful. All right, let's see. Miranda from Facebook, what are your thoughts about eating according to your blood type? Are there some people who do better eating meat or vegetables than others? Is that because of their distinctive blood types? Good question, I guess.
I looked at that. It sounded like it was a legitimate thing, but then when you take a look at the research, it doesn't really go anywhere. So I kind of dropped the whole thing because I didn't really find that was a factor in determining your best diet.
All right. River Rat Calvin is his handle from Rumble. Can you please share what a typical day is like for you? What foods and supplements and exercise do you do? What's your fasting schedule? I know everyone is different, but I'm curious about what works for you, as he should be.
Well, real quickly, I just got off the carnivore, and I didn't. It was good. It was good, but and I think a lot of people should try it, and it works for a lot of people. So I'm not saying it doesn't work. Great for inflammation, autoimmune diseases. I did not feel any bad effects from it at all. I just kind of miss my salad, and I don't have a problem with salad, and I don't do any broccoli, and I don't do spinach, but I like lettuce leaves. I like arugula. I like romaine. I like different combinations, things, but not spinach, things like that. I like cabbage. I like sauerkraut. So those are the things I'm going back to. And of course, I'm going to add my extra virgin olive oil from Italy, and then also the Italian version of the fake Parmesan cheese, which I can't even pronounce. It's called, was it Reggiano? I can't. I'm not going to even butcher it right now. I'm sure that a lot of you are probably going to just in the comment, know the right pronunciation. But anyway, I do that and also do a little nutritional yeast, feta cheese, and I put that on my salad with maybe just a little bit of balsamic vinaigrette. So I missed that. I'm going to go back to that, and I do a lot of meats, and I do a lot of different sheep cheese. I like other European cheeses, and I consume a good amount of healthy butter and eggs and cod liver. So those are some foods that I eat. I eat twice a day. Most of the time, I eat when I'm hungry. So I'll eat like maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then I'll have my next meal at 6. Sometimes I might be hungry earlier in the morning, like at 10. I might just eat then and then have the second meal at 5. I don't drink hardly any water. I'm not thirsty until I get thirsty in the later part of the afternoon, and I start drinking water until probably 7 o'clock. So I'll drink maybe 2.5 liters of fluid. I put my apple cider vinegar in there, my lemon, electrolyte powder. And then as far as exercise goes, during the day, I do a lot of hills. Not every single day, but probably every other day. I do some massive like mountain running up the mountain, and it's like sprinting. So that's great for cardiovascular. And then what I'll do is I'll rotate weight training in my gym. Usually after dinner, I'll do that. And then I'll go to bed around 9:15 to 9:30, and I'll get up at 4:15 to 4:30. So that's pretty much my routine right now.
My God, that sounds like a prison routine. I know, actually, it's wonderful, but man, is that out in the yard?
What part of it, Steve?
Yeah,
what part of it.
That's great. Okay, here's a good question. Father Trad from Rumble. I love doing extended fasts, but I have a very hard time falling asleep when I haven't eaten in over 24 hours. Any ideas how you could remedy that and still keep up with the fast?
That really has to do with your fat adaptation, and that takes some time to do that. Not everyone can do prolonged fasting right off the bat. So I always recommend doing it baby steps. You do a little bit more, and you keep doing it until your system can go longer. But for some people, they might not feel good on a longer fast until they really fix their metabolism, the insulin resistance. But other people, boy, they just get on a longer fast and they feel wonderful. So, you might want to do a shorter fast and then over time keep extending it slowly. And then I have noticed that some people do better with sleep if they add a little more salt to their diet, especially in the evening. They also do sea salt. And of course, they also sometimes do better for dinner, if they have a little more berries, just a little bit more berries, they might sleep a little bit better too. So those are a couple little things I've noticed with certain people that have insomnia. But I've done some videos on sleeping and getting enough REM sleep. And if you haven't seen that video, you should try to search it out because, boy, I tell you, your mood really is connected to your sleep. So, Steve, when you're grouchy all the
Yes,
time,
sir.
you should just check your sleep, and that just solves it overnight.
All right. Well, I'll see if I can improve that with a little extra sleep. Let's go to our next question. And boy, this is on everybody's lips. If Ozempic, the weight loss stuff, lowers appetite and helps normalize blood sugars, causing a person to lose weight, then what's the problem? Why not take it, audience? So it sounds good, but is there a catch? Let's go to that. Okay, let's go back to the green room, and this time from Steve in Glendale, Arizona. And Steve, let me unmute you, and if you're unmuted, we'll have you on there and center yourself up. Look, there you go. Now you can see yourself. Center yourself up in the camera.
All
Look
right.
beautiful.
Hi.
Go ahead with your question.
Am I unmuted?
No, yeah, you're terrific.
good.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, doctor. Love the studio. Looks great. My question is on continuous monitoring. I'm reading a book now on uric acid. And it seems to be like the one question that this, and he's a kindred spirit of yours, for sure. I know you probably know of him, but I don't want to mention any names without, I'm reading his book. What do obesity, insulin resistance, diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, hypertension, coronary artery disease, stroke, neurological disorders, including Alzheimer's disease, and premature death have in common? Answer: high uric acid levels. I wanted to get your take on this uric acid thing that seems to be a hot topic these days. It seems to be a precursor and some that are prehistoric people had to stay alive, because it would increase their sugar, it would lower their energy levels, and bears and all could go into hibernation and have all that excess fat that they could use while they're out cold. But we still have it, and he said we're doing it 365 days a year instead of adjusting our diets, which is, he's way big on keto as well. And I wanted to get your take on what you think about the uric acid level issue that's happening these days.
Really good question. Uric acid is a biomarker. It's one biomarker. There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You have LDL. That's a biomarker. Blood glucose is a biomarker.
Right.
Homocysteine is a biomarker. There's just many, many different biomarkers. So it is true that you're going to see high uric acid in a lot of these other conditions. You're also going to see oxidative LDL in a lot of these conditions. You're also going to see insulin resistance in a lot of these conditions. So the mistake, I think, that my viewpoint that some people make on this is just to kind of really hone in on this one biomarker. You have to kind of look at, there's all the data, especially if you're trying to figure this out, because if you're just going off of uric acid and your goal is just to lower it with whatever method you're doing, you're treating symptoms. Like even what is the purpose of uric acid? Why do our bodies make it? Well, it has a plus thing. It helps. It's the most powerful antioxidant in the blood. That's one thing. But it's also at the same time, which is a paradox, involved in gout.
Yeah.
But then you have pseudogout, which is a whole different thing. It's like it's not really uric acid. And then when you consume a lot of fructose, the uric acid goes up. So I think it can be a bad biomarker if you're all these other things, if your diet is poor. Just like LDL, that's a whole different hot topic right now. But this brings up the topic of the metabolomic testing, because that looks at like 3,000 biomarkers, and you're not just looking at them in relationship to themselves. You're looking at them in relationship to other systems, other organs, other parts of the body, like even like inside the mitochondria, and you're looking at you basically tells a story of what's happening in your body. And so you may, for example, do a prolonged fast. Well, guess what? Your uric acid goes right up after, I think it's like 48 hours, and then it starts coming down. So that's interesting. So that fasting is bad? Not necessarily. So you really have to understand in the context of everything else. So it takes a good evaluator that understands the mechanisms, that can look at and correlate not just all the data, but also your diet, your history, your habits. And this is I think brings us full circle back to the metabolomic testing, which I'm, like I keep saying, it's like the wave of the future in healthcare, because you get a better picture. You get all the data. You can visualize what's happening deep inside. You're not hyper focused on one or two biomarkers. You're looking at the whole picture. And so that's just my viewpoint. And even like as it relates to LDL, like, oh my gosh, LDL is so bad. Yeah, but people don't realize that a way better biomarker, if you want to look at it, is insulin resistance. They have
Right.
So again, I can go on and on about this, but I think that's my viewpoint.
Well, I appreciate that, doctor, very much. I appreciate that. It's good to know.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Hope it warms up out
Thank
there.
you.
Here it's very chilly out there, which is unusual for Arizona. Okay, let's see. Quiz question number 3 asked, if Ozempic lowered appetite and helps normalize blood sugars, causing a person to lose weight, what on earth is the problem? Why not take it? The audience has an opinion. 78% of them say that Ozempic has a variety of serious side effects. 15% say it's detrimental. Excuse me, that jumped a little bit. Say it's detrimental to metabolic functions, and 7% say it can create damage on a cellular level. Those sound ominous.
So everyone's correct. Ozempic is interesting because it parallels the keto diet. One factor, it gets rid of hunger, and when of course you're doing fasting, especially. So, and this comes right back to if someone has less hunger, it's more sustainable. They can do it longer, and it makes it easier. But it's doing it in a way that tricks the brain into thinking it's not really hungry. So is it really a healthy state or not? The thing about Ozempic is it creates some really positive things: blood sugar better, loss of hunger, weight loss, but it also produces some really bad things at the same time. Gastric emptying, everything slows down. You can end up with a gastroparesis, which is like a paralysis of your stomach, obstruction in your colon. You can end up with thyroid issues, cancer, but the biggest thing about Ozempic is too, it's like you can't eat enough. So people don't eat enough protein, and you start developing muscle loss. So here you are, you're losing fat, 50% fat, but 50% of that's muscle too. So that would be a bad thing, because now what are you going to do? Like, because your muscle is very important into metabolizing and burning energy and fat. So now you just put yourself in a bad place to be able to do this long term. You got to think of long term with these things. Like, is it worth it? I recommend people do a combination of the healthy keto with intermittent fasting to be able to achieve a result that's, I think, even better: weight loss and health at the same time. But you just have to ask yourself, what is this doing to my health? And the viewpoint that I have is it's not like lose weight to get healthy. It's get healthy to lose weight. Just by losing weight, is that really making you healthier? Now, I'm not saying that people do not benefit from it and that they're literally desperate sometimes to try things, but I'm just giving you some additional information to think with. So if you're on the edge about it, maybe you go this other way and see if that doesn't work for you.
All right. Well, encouragement to all those. Obesity is a terrible scourge on the Western world, it appears. Okay, let's ask the next question. Then we're going to go to our final panelist, if you will, Bam from the Philippines. So Bam, stand by a second as we read question number 4 for the day. And this is a long one. Question: the RDA's guidelines for sufficient nutrient levels, they are the minimum levels of nutrient needed for a healthy person to prevent a deficiency disease. This sounds great. So what is the problem? Was I clear in reading that, Doc? Does that make sense?
Why don't you say that one more time, Steve?
Let me do that. The RDA's are guidelines for sufficient nutrient levels. They are the minimum levels of a nutrient needed for a healthy person to prevent a deficiency disease. This sounds great, but what's the problem?
Yeah, like with RDAs. So based on the definition, like what is the big problem? Why shouldn't we just focus on those and depend on those? I mean, sounds pretty good, right?
No, it does. Okay, and what else?
What's the problem, Steve?
Yeah. Okay, how about we go to our final guest here, who's coming all the way to us from the Philippines. And if you're unmuted, Bam, go ahead with your one quick question, sir.
I'm good, thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure to be on your show today and in the new studio set up, Dr. Berg. So I've been practicing a combination of intermittent fasting and keto carnivore on and off for about almost 4 years. It's been life changing, but I do get this question a lot from people that I sort of guide into the journey, and I'm interested to know if there's a better or more objective way other than your common guidance of the 50 grams carbs, sugars, for example, to figure out if you'll get kicked out of ketosis based on what you just ate, and would it be any different if you were in the fat adapted state?
Okay, so are you saying, is there any other way to determine other than doing a ketone test?
Yes. So, like,
Okay.
for example,
Yeah.
if you don't do a ketone test, and
Oh,
just
okay. Yeah.
figuring out what you eat, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple general good indicators to know if you're on the right track and if it's working. You know, are you continuing to lose weight? Do you have energy? But I think the biggest subjective thing to look at is your hunger, is your appetite. Are you able to go from one meal to the next without much hunger? If you can't go a long period of time without being hunger, you better evaluate. I think you might be eating too many carbs. But other than that, you can check either your blood sugars or ketones, because if the blood sugars are low, you have ketones that are high. Or you can just check ketones. If ketones are high, that means your blood sugars are low. So it's an indirect relationship there. So that's you can, there's like the Keto Mojo unit, you can check both blood sugars and ketones. So that's what I would use. And then I think you said something about keto adaptation. The longer you do the keto adaptation, the more flexible you are to go right back into fat burning, and you can tolerate more carbs. I mean, people always say survival of the fittest or survival of the strongest. It's not true. It's the survival of the person who can, or animal that can adapt the best to its environment. And can you adapt to eating sugars versus fats back and forth easily? Can you exercise, and can you adapt to that environment quickly and bounce back? As we age, we lose that. I remember one person came in my practice, and we had her exercise. Her pulse rate went up to 158. It stayed there for 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
So that's bad adaptation. So what is this adaptation? It's your autonomic nervous system, your ability to experience stress and bounce back from it, your ability to compensate for things. And this is even like me. I ate junk food all the way up until it started affecting me when I was in my 20s. But before that, I was adapting. Good. So, that's an interesting topic. And I think adaptogens are good. More interval training is good. More anything that you do, like intermittent fasting versus constantly eating all the time, snacking. That's really bad, because you want to give your body a chance to kind of rest in between eating 24/7.
Well, thanks so much, Dr. Berg, and keep doing what you're doing. You're making a difference in the world. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Bam, for coming to us from the Philippines and asking those interesting questions. All right, let's see. Quiz question number 4 was lengthy. We got some answers. It asks, once again, the RDAs are guidelines for sufficient nutrient levels. They are the minimum levels of nutrient needed for a healthy person to prevent a deficiency disease. This sounds great. So what's the problem? Well, the audience has an answer for that. 70% say that RDAs are only for the minimum level of nutrition, not the optimum level. 20% say RDAs are too general and don't take into account, the differences in our physiologies and level of health. And 10% say there's a wide variety of nutrient absorption levels in the population.
Wow. You guys nailed it. So that's so true because first of all, have you ever found this is based on healthy people. Where do we find these healthy people? Who's healthy? I'm still trying to find one person that's healthy. They're hard to come by. So you have that. And then we also have minimum levels to prevent a deficiency. What about optimal function? And then absorption too. And as we age. So these are all things, I think the RDAs are way, way too low. And we're operating off that. If you see a food that says, oh, 100%, we're meeting the 100% of your RDAs for vitamin C, that doesn't mean anything to me. So, and also the quality of that nutrient. Is it synthetic? Is it bioavailable, like from animal meat, or is it from plant-based, which is not as available? Unfortunately, I think I don't know if it's the USDA or who it is that is in charge of this, or who has the authority over, claims and things, but certain manufacturing companies, if I'm not mistaken, currently can claim that beta carotene is vitamin A. I see that as a huge mistake because it's not vitamin A. It's the precursor. It has to turn into retinol, which is an active form. And it's the conversions are not good. How many carrots do you have to eat to get enough retinol? A tremendous. So I think that's a problem, and it's going to give people this idea that, oh, I'm getting my vitamin A. Really? So vitamin A is so important to prevent hypothyroidism. Also, it helps support the mucous membranes in your sinuses, your throat, your lungs, your GI tract. So vitamin A is good for your eyes. And the bioavailable retinol, it's highest in cod liver oil, egg yolks, fish, liver, animal foods, but not in the plant. You just have the precursor beta carotene.
All right, very good. Final question of the day asks, if you have muscle cramps, even after you have taken enough potassium, magnesium, sodium, and other electrolytes, what should you try next? Mm-hmm. So audience, climb on that, as we know you will. And let's just have an absolute marathon for the rest of the hour on social media. Frankie from Facebook, what is your recommendation for someone with an overactive thyroid, so hyperthyroid, I guess?
Don't take bile salts, because that's going to make your thyroid work faster. Cruciferous vegetables will slow it down a little bit too, because the estrogen factor helps to balance estrogen. But I think B1 is the remedy that I would add in there. B1 and vitamin D, because we're probably dealing with Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune thyroid issue. I'm just dubbing that in there. So vitamin D, higher levels, and then vitamin B1 has been known to help that.
Excuse me, XOXO from YouTube. My wife and I are on Healthy Keto, have been on Healthy Keto for a while now. She's lost 26 pounds and I've lost 85. Wow. But we both have plateaued. They don't seem to be losing any more weight. What can we do to sort of kick that engine going again?
Make sure your carbs are really low, fast longer, sleep, or go to bed earlier, do whatever you can to lower your stress, and then exercise more.
Boy, well, there you have it, folks. So I'm sure you're doing some great things, but add that in there and get back with us. Okay, Sarah from Facebook, is it okay to fast if someone is anemic? Can you fast and be anemic?
Sure. Just take a good iron source, which is going to be either like liver pills or even spleen extract pills. That could help you. Depending on what's causing the anemia. If it's a menstruation, you're losing blood, or is it that your stomach is too alkaline, in which case you need to acidify that with betaine hydrochloride. And then you should probably get a test to see, is it iron or is it B12? So that way, when you actually eat, you can know what you need to get more of.
Okay, very good. TSXX from Rumble, our new platform. Dr. Berg, we love you for what you bring to the community of health seekers. Thank you. So thank you, TSXX.
You're welcome.
And that's great. Okay, let's see. John from YouTube, I've heard that rubbing mustard oil on your belly button can do wonders for the gut. Any thoughts?
Only if you stand upside down. And no, I don't know. I've never heard that before. I have heard rubbing mustard on your feet and your calves can help with cramps, but I don't know. Maybe it goes in there. I don't know. I've never heard that. But try it out. See if it helps. I've tried. I'm the person that's tried everything, Steve. I've done the ear candles. I've done every type of cleanse. You name it. I'm willing to try anything once. And I should do a video on all the things that didn't work on me. But try it out and see if it works. But just don't mention my name while you're rubbing the mustard on your stomach in public. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Lori, honey, can you bring me the mustard? Yeah, thanks. Okay, let's see. What else we have? Oh, we have answers for quiz question number 5. Let's see. And once again, to recap, if you have muscle cramps, even after you've taken enough potassium, magnesium, sodium, and other electrolytes, what should you try next? And 76% of our respondents say drink more water. That makes sense. 20% say increase electrolytes, and 4% say different methods of stretches. Do we have any winners?
There is one thing that I think you should attempt, and that is to acidify the body, because you can quickly increase the absorption of calcium, which could be interfering with the nerve flow. And it's good for tetany. It's good for twitching and cramping in general. So having a little apple cider vinegar with water or pickle juice, that's been known to get rid of cramps in athletes, which they don't really know exactly 100% why, but it does several things. You have an acidifier in there. You also have in the fermented version, you have lactate, which can be used as fuel. So if you're exercising and you use it for all your fuel, that could potentially be a reason why you're cramping. But anyway, I would try to acidify the body a little bit more. So start adding that apple cider vinegar with water routinely to see if that doesn't help with the cramping, because that way you allow these minerals to be absorbed a little bit better, especially calcium.
Okay, let's maybe even have to go over a little bit. I think this is an interesting question. We're hearing tons about microplastics everywhere. So VTX 1300 from Rumble, are you familiar with Redmond real sea salt? There is a real concern that other sea salts are contaminated with microplastic particles because there's so much of it floating in our oceans and seas. I guess it's everywhere. But what do you think? Is that in sea salt or?
Yeah. You want to get your salt like rock salt or like Himalayan or Redmond or salt from an ancient seabed, because that way you're not going to get the plastics. Versus the ocean salt, you're going to get plastic in there. So, yeah, I think I did a video on this, and I think that's important because plastics are becoming a huge problem, and so the type of salt is important as well.
All right.
And Steve, on that note, appreciate your attention. Thanks for watching the videos. I'll be putting some very interesting ones out next week, hopefully with this new background, because the other one is, it's hard to even look at. I'm almost embarrassed. So I'm going to be releasing a video very soon on kind of how we did this studio before and after, kind of a deep dive behind the scenes of this remake of the studio. I think you might like that. It's entertaining. It's embarrassing, actually, for me, but entertaining for you. But anyway, so have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next Friday morning, or what is it? Yeah, Friday morning, same time, same place.